Pokémon. You've probably heard this name a few times before, be it through playing games, collecting trading cards, or watching the anime. It's the highest grossing media franchise of all time, by a considerable margin. And even if you haven't seen or played Pokemon yourself, everyone's at least heard of it at some point. I mean, come on, you gotta know Pikachu. It's a franchise that's impacted so many people's lives over the last 25 years, and for some, it's even become their job. I know it's such a great part of my life, and I really don't know who I'd be if I never got my first game however many years ago. What's going on, guys? My name is Rano, and today I'm going to be taking a look back on this franchise and seeing how what started as a simple game about catching monsters changed my life. So, let's talk about Pokemon. But first, let's go back. How did this all start? Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, said in an interview with Time magazine that he enjoyed collecting bugs as a kid, and the idea for Pokemon stemmed from that years later.
You like bugs?
They fascinated me. For one thing, they kind of moved funny. They were odd. Every time I found a new insect, it was mysterious to me. And the more I searched for insects, the more I found. I usually took them home. As I gathered more and more, I'd learn about them, like how some would feed on one another. So I stopped bringing them home. Tiny discoveries like that make me excited.
Did you have friends that collected insects?
None of my friends would do what I did. I got more insects than anyone.
Did you get the idea for Pokemon from these insects?
Yes, places to catch insects are rare because of urbanization. Kids play inside their homes now, and a lot had forgotten about catching insects. So had I. When I was making games, something clicked and I decided to make a game with that concept. Everything I did as a kid is kind of rolled into one. That's what Pokemon is. Playing video games, watching TV, Ultraman with his capsule monsters, they all became ingredients for the game.
So he spent the next 6 years working on it with his team at Game Freak, and on February 27th, 1996, Pokemon Red and Green were released in Japan. These games ended up being a massive success, more so than Tajiri could have ever imagined, especially with the worldwide release of the games being September 28th, 1998 in North America, October 23rd of the same year in Australia, and October 5th, 1999 in Europe. Their first year of sales in Japan ended with just over 1 million units, followed by 3.65 million a year later. Now in the US, by December 2007, Red and Blue sold just shy of 10 million combined units, and if you include Yellow, which released shortly after the originals, it's closer to 15 million. At this point, it was clear the series was a hit. So of course, directly after the release of those games, development began on the second iterations, Gold and Silver. They were released not too long after Red and Green, being November 21st, 1999 in Japan, October 13th, 2000 in Australia, a mere 2 days later in North America, and April 6th, 2001 in Europe. Often seen as some of the best Pokemon games ever made, they were definitely huge games for their time, having not only introduced a whole new region and 100 new creatures that inhabited it, but also brought everything back from the previous game. And not to mention, the majority of this was done by a very small team of only 4 developers. The original plan for the game was actually almost too big to be possible, had it not been for the work of Satoru Iwata, who upped the project immensely by developing new tools to assist in compressing the Pokemon's graphic code. According to Tsunekazu Ishihara, the president of the Pokemon Company, the second-gen games were actually intended to be the last in the series.
I worked with the assumption that after we put out Gold and Silver, my work as far as Pokemon was concerned would be done. I didn't intend to make any more Pokemon titles. I even thought that once we entered the 21st century, it would be time for me to do something else entirely. I remember that when Gold and Silver were released, I felt like a burden had finally been lifted from my shoulders. We'd had our sights set on the finish line of Gold and Silver for so long, and now that we'd finally completed the major series running right through from Red and Blue, I felt I could say to Tajiri-san, I fulfilled my duty.
This, of course, ended up not being the case, as they're still making new Pokemon games to this day. As of April 2000, just shy of 5 months after its initial release, the game sold roughly 6.5 million copies in Japan alone, and just after the first week of release in the US, Gold and Silver had sold a combined total of 1.4 million, becoming the fastest games ever made at that time. So then they made Crystal, and that became the second best-selling Game Boy Color game in Japan with almost 1.9 million copies. Game Freak would then proceed to release a new Pokemon game every 3 years, introducing a new Pokédex for each generation, plus some new mechanics or simply modifying some pre-existing ones, as well as an enhanced version of the 3rd and 4th generation games being Emerald and Platinum respectively. Instead of an enhanced version for Generation 5, Game Freak instead opted for a direct sequel, with Black and White being followed by, of course, Black 2 and White 2. They didn't make any enhancements to the already existing X and Y. Sun and Moon got the Ultra versions, and Sword and Shield received the DLC expansion pass. But now, let's talk a little bit about my own experiences with these games, and how I ended up where I am today. My entry into the Pokemon fandom is a bit of a strange one. See, my cousin and aunt gave me their card collections when I was really young, so I had a vague idea of what Pokemon was, but still didn't entirely get it. Then at some point I remember watching some episodes of the anime, current season being Galactic Battles, and that did catch my interest a bit. What really got me hooked though, was the first actual game in the series I played, Pokemon Diamond. I remember I got this game for Christmas in 2010, and it's the only game I haven't reset my playthrough in, so I still have the original date of when I picked my starter. It was a Piplup. When I got it, I remember sitting at the top of my grandparents' staircase with my DSi and just playing it there for a while. I also ended up getting Pearl and Platinum as well, I really don't remember how, and I definitely remember playing Platinum the most out of the Sinnoh games. I also remember having an action replay and hacking in a bunch of legendaries and being my friend with him in battles. Which then led to me hacking in legendaries in his game, and him beating me again. I never got too far in Sinnoh originally. The farthest I got in my original Diamond copy was beating Gardenia. A few years ago I did get back into playing Platinum, and I remember having beat Crash Awake, though I'm not too sure how much farther I got after that. I also remember somehow I pre-ordered Pokemon Black, and I got it on launch day, though I don't have too many vivid memories of playing through it all that much. Except for trading my Victini to one of my cousins right after I caught it, which, I'm still not entirely sure why I did that. But then, I got Pokemon HeartGold, and that's when everything changed. I would honestly credit the main reason why I'm such a big Pokemon fan as I am today to HeartGold. I don't know what it was about this game that attracted me so much to it, but it was definitely something. This is the Pokemon game I remember playing the most. It's the one I think of most often when I think Pokemon. Maybe it was the music or the scenery or the Pokemon following you around in the game, but it's always been my favorite of the franchise, and to be honest, I can't ever see that changing. I have so many vivid memories of playing this game after school, during road trips, at family events, really anytime I had the chance. It was one of those games that'd always be on my mind. I'd constantly be thinking, man, I can't wait to play more Pokemon. There are a ton of Ollie-specific memories I have of playing this game, like that time I encountered a Spinnerack at a family friend's house one night, or when I was fighting Team Rocket in the Slowpoke well at my grandparents' house, or when we were getting ready to go out somewhere, and I was just about to challenge Red on Mount Silver. I think these moments stick out in my mind the most because it was in those moments where I didn't have to worry about what was going on around me too much. I could just play my favorite game and everything was alright. One of the things that I really regret now looking back is I would reset my game pretty often because I would always want to go back and play through it multiple times. The issue with this is that because of it, I can't really remember my original team. Of course I remember some Pokemon I would have, like my starter and some ones I would catch early game, but a majority of it is a blur in my mind. What I can tell you with 100% certainty though, is the starter. This is the one thing that's never changed with any of my playthroughs of HeartGold, and is actually my #1 favorite Pokemon. And I'm talking about Cyndaquil. The most important decision when starting any Pokemon game is your starter. This is the Pokemon you're bringing with you all the way from your hometown to the very end. You're going through an entire region with this Pokemon, so you have to choose wisely. For me, my choice ended up being the Fire Mouse Pokemon number 155, Cyndaquil. It was between that and Totodile. I was never really a fan of the grass type starters up until recently, so Chikorita wasn't much of an option for me back then. Cyndaquil quickly became one of my favorite Pokemon during that playthrough, and just in general. When I was trying to narrow down my list of my favorite Pokemon, Cyndaquil ended up at the top, followed by Zorua and Piplup at spots 2 and 3. Why Zorua is on there is a bit of a weird reason comparatively, and I'll get to that in a second, but Piplup is third because, like I said earlier, it was my first Pokemon ever. Even though I just talked about HeartGold being one of the most influential games for me when it comes to Pokemon, Diamond was still what introduced me to the series as a whole, so of course it'll leave an impact no matter what. Now, why is Zorua my second favorite? I even said earlier that I don't have many clear memories of playing through Gen 5. Well, it actually has nothing to do with the games at all, which is why I said it was a bit of a weirder reason. See, in 2011, a little after Black and White came out, McDonald's held a promotion with their Happy Meals to include a Pokemon toy and card. For the toys, you can get a Reshiram, Oshawott, Tepig, Snivy, Zoroark, Pikachu, Zorua, or Zekrom. And as for the card, you'd be seeing a Snivy, Maractus, Tepig, Oshawott, Alomomola, Blitzel, Munna, Sandile, Zorua, Clink, Pidove, or I don't know. I had some of the cards, though I don't remember which one specifically, as well as a few figures. The one I remember the most during this time was my Zorua figure. I remember I got it while I was out with some family, one of the people there being my cousin who was also into Pokemon, and seeing as I only knew a few people around my age at that time who were into Pokemon, her being one of them, of course this memory would stick out. It's a really minor event, all things considered. I mean, we were just getting McDonald's, really. But I think because of the people I was with, it solidified itself in my brain as being more important than that. Video game soundtracks are timeless. There's always that one iconic song you'll never forget from a video game. With Pokemon, however, there always seems to be multiple. Everyone has at least one song they're thinking of constantly when Pokemon's on the mind. It could be the starting town from your first game, the professor's lab, the end credits, or maybe the gym music because you could never beat that one battle as a kid. There are a few songs that particularly stand out in my mind, and whenever I hear them, I get taken back to those first times playing as a young kid. One of these is Sandgem Town from the Sinnoh games. When I got to this area with my first Pokemon, after making it through Route 201, it felt like a real landmark achievement as a young trainer starting my journey. I got my Pokedex from Rowan, and from there, my adventure began. Another example that comes to mind is Route 29 from HeartGold and Soul Silver. Since it's one of the first places you go to in the game, those early memories are more prominent than ever. Especially when it comes to one of my all-time favorite games. Walking through the tall grass with my Cyndaquil right behind me, about to take on an entire region. I remember it like it was yesterday. But by far, the one that consistently triggers the most nostalgia for me is Twinleaf Town, also from Diamond and Pearl. My hometown, from the game that introduced me to what is now my favorite series. Whenever I hear this song, I always think back to when I was a kid, exploring all these new areas, discovering these new creatures. It was really a whole new world for me. And sure, there may be some more notable locations in Sinnoh, like Eterna Forest, Mount Coronet, or even the lakes. But this is where everything, and I mean everything, began for me. That's all to say that even something so simple as the music in a game can have such an impact on someone. People will hear a song and associate it to a good time they had while that song was playing in the background. It's incredible. With Pokemon, we all have so many great memories and experiences, and the soundtracks that accompany these moments really amplifying them, making them just that much more memorable. And with that, 25 years of Pokemon are in the books. It's honestly really crazy that the series has been around for this long, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping anytime soon either. I've been a fan of Pokemon for nearly a decade, and I don't imagine that will ever change. I just want to say thank you to everyone at Pokemon Company and Game Freak for so many years of great memories and games, and here's to another 25 more. But with that being said, and with that all out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like down below, and leave a comment telling me what are some of your favorite memories playing Pokemon. It's always interesting to see different people's experiences with these games. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.